1985. So in the Megillah it says, Kiyemu וקבלו hayehudi. The Yidden fulfilled and the Yidden accepted. Now, the Gemara has trouble with this expression. Usually, the way it works is first you accept and then you fulfill. How does it say they fulfilled and then they accepted? Darshan Razal b'Gemara Masechtas Shabbos and Chazal Darshan in this in the Gemara Masechtas Shabbos Kimu Masha Kiblu Kfar b'Matan Torah, that they fulfilled what they already received in Matan Torah. So the Chazal divide these two words, Kimu v'Kiblu, and they say Kimu is going in the time of Achashverosh. Kiblu is talking about the time of Matan Torah. And what the Yidden accepted upon themselves during the giving of the Torah, so now in the times of Achashverosh, they fulfill. Because this is also what it says in the Pasuk, that the Yidden accepted that which they began to do. So what does it mean? They accepted what they began to do. They began to do, and then they had an acceptance of it. What are these two things? So also, the Friedrich Rebbe explains this in a Maimer. Shepirusha, this means, actually it starts from a Maimer of the Alter Rebbe. Shepirusha, that this means, that says, as they began to do, it's referring to Matan Torah. In the days of Purim, they accepted what they began to do with Matan Torah. You could have a saying, but that's known the questions and the examinations of the Lashon of the Arabim and our leaders in this, skip the parentheses. We need to understand the advantage and the and the uniqueness of the days of Purim. They specifically gave an existence, a strength, and a new power in something that already took place by Matan Torah. Additionally, we need to understand the fact that specifically during the days of Purim, they fulfilled what they already accepted by Matan Torah. It's obvious from this. It's not just the days of Purim itself. It has a connection and association to the idea of Matan Torah. All the specific matters that's connected with the days of Purim. The Nes Purim, the decree of Haman, and the miracle of Purim. The Chol, Prote, and Yonam, Separim, and Megillas Esther, and all the detailed matters that are related to Megillas Esther. From right away at the beginning, where it says in the words, and it was in the days of Achashverosh, all of these matters have a connection with Matan Torah. Not only that, all of these events give a particular power and strength in the idea of Matan Torah. So we need to understand the idea behind this. How do all these events give a special power and strength in Matan Torah? Lahavim calls that to be able to understand all of this. Magdim Badrush. So the Mamorim prefaces with explaining Matan Torah, to Matan Torah, to explain what was the novelty, uniqueness of the giving of the Torah. This novelty is what became strengthened and solidified in the days of Purim. So what took place on Matan Torah? In the movement, seemingly it's not understood. What is the novelty of the giving of the Torah? The Torah existed 2,000 years before the world. So therefore, it was already in existence. So that didn't happen by Matan Torah. It already existed prior. What about people doing the Torah? People doing the Torah also existed prior to Matan Torah. In addition to this, the Chsiv Bavram, it says Bavram. It says Bavram Avinu, they guarded my guardings and my mitzvahs and my statutes and my Torah. The Koyal Torah Shval Peh, Torah Shval Peh, that's referring both to the written Torah and the oral Torah. All of this Avram Avinu did. Chazal said, Avram Zakin. Avram was an elder, meaning a learned person of a Yeshiva, and he was sitting learn and studying. Yitzchak Zaken v'Yoshev b'Yeshiva. Yitzchak was an elder and sitting learning Torah. Yaakov Zaken v'Yoshev b'Yeshiva. And Yaakov was an elder and sitting in yeshiva. So therefore, the study of Torah was there all the time. And there was no time when Torah study left our forefathers, even in Mitzrayim. Especially since it says twice concerning Avram Avinu, Shekim Avram Avinu Satorah Kulach Leinitna, that Avram Avinu fulfilled the entire Torah before it was given. This is brought down in two different places in Gemara. And it says, specifically, even before it was given. So there was a whole period of time before Matan Torah, that the Torah was being fulfilled by the Avos and the Torah was being studied by the Yidden. What was so special about the giving during the time of the giving of the Torah? And it was so out of the ordinary that it was accompanied by all this tumult, until it was with great tumult, like it says, the whole nation saw the sounds and the flames and the mountain smoking. So the Rebbe goes on to say, the idea behind this is, what is the specialness of the giving of the Torah? Chazal said, mitzvahs that the Avos performed before you were only like a scent, a smell, like a good scent, like a pleasant perfume. Aval anu, but us, when we do the mitzvahs, shemen turak shmecha, it's oil that's poured for your sake, for the sake of your name. Meaning, instead of perfume being a smell, it is the oil itself, the essence of the matter, not just the scent that it gives off. Meaning that the Rebbe goes on to explain the though the advantage of the avodah of the forefather was very high, Chazal said, the Avos are the very chariot for Hashem. They were a vehicle for godliness. They were an instrument for godliness. They had no separate entity other than being an extension of Hashem's will. Just for example, by Avram that his service was a service of love towards godliness. Like it says, Avram, who is my beloved, the Avazu from the Merkava, that this love was in a way that he was a chariot, a vehicle for Hashem. It's explained in Tanya. What does it mean that the Avos were a divine chariot? Just like, what does a chariot do? A chariot has no other interest, has no other goal, has no other purpose other than acting on behalf of the one who drives the vehicle. So the Alter Rebbe explains the same thing about the Avos. Shekol Yumeim La'olam Lo Yifsiku Afilu Shah Achas Adainu Rega Achas Melikshor Daita Menishmasan L'Rebbeinu Olam. That all their days they did not cease even 1 hour, which means not an hour literally of 60 minutes, but it means even a moment from bonding their minds and their souls to the master of the world. Not only that, the Alter Rebbe says that all their limbs and organs were completely holy and separated from matters of this world. And they only were a chariot and a vehicle to the supernal will alone all their days. Meaning that not like by a regular Yid. A regular Yid, when he's doing a mitzvah, at that time, his limbs, his organs are involved in that mitzvah, are a vehicle for Hashem. But then when he's done doing the mitzvah and he goes doing his own things, so there's no, that connection is not there. But the Avos, every single moment of their lives, they always were in the way of a vehicle to the age. Despite that great and lofty level of the Avos, but still in all, it's only in a way of a scent, a smell, a perfume. Why is it only like a scent? B'chol Yisrael lifnei matan Torah hoisa avoida b'chinas hashama belvad, because the service of Avraham Avinu and the Avos in general, and all the Yidden prior to Matan Torah was an avoida only with their neshama, v'lo pala ba'ilam shalom atar, did not affect the world down here below. The Afshikiyim is a Torah kula. Though that he fulfilled the entire Torah of Avraham Avinu, mitzvosai, chukoisai, v'seroisai, like it says in the pasuk. Kol Mokim, Paul Zerak b'nishmasi u'ba'olam esel yoinim. It only affected Avraham Avinu's neshama, and it only affected the supernal worlds. He made unions, Natzilis, and so on. But not in this physical world. To transform a physical object of this world, that now this physical object becomes holy. Though at the time when the others did their service, they also affected in this world. For example, in the avoid of tzedakah of Avraham Avinu, or when he brought in guests, etc. This was enclosed in physical matters. Like it says that Avraham Avinu turned to Sarah and told her, "Lushi v'asiugos, knead and make these cakes." And Avraham ran to the cattle. It was a physical activity. He wasn't just sitting and thinking about the cattle and so on. Still in all, this avodah of Avraham did not affect the change in the physicality, in the material world, but in such a manner that the change should be recognizable also after the avodah, that the matter in which he did the avodah became transformed and became sanctified. It didn't become holy. That's also the reason why the oath of Avraham Avinu in holding on to an object of holiness, that it says when you make an oath, you need to go ahead and hold on to an holy object. They take a hold of Sefer Torah, and so on. So how did he do this? So he had to tell Eliezer to place his hand under his by his thigh, etc. Because in those days there was no object of holiness in the world except for the Bismillah, which Hashem commanded him to do. And therefore, was that despite issues of modesty, the oath was specifically under his thigh and under his loins, but he had no other choice to be able to make an oath that would be holding on to Chayfis Shel Mitzvah. This reason, because all other things that Avraham Avinu did not impact this world, so therefore the other type of avoid is called scent, like a perfume. In scent, there's two components. Aleph, scent, smell is only something that the soul derives pleasure from, not the body. A person that's hungry, a person that's weak, the scent is not going to make him less weak or less hungry. The scent is only something that's going to draw the neshama back into the body, a strong scent. The person chas v'shalom faints. That so ba'avodah nal shalom is similar to this in the avodah of the forefather. Gam ha'avodah shebegash v'sa'olam loy pala shinu begashem ha'olam ba'ofen sha'ashinu yinikir gam la'achre avodah. That the avodah and I'm sorry, I think I skipped over here. Back to the line that has over there to 25. It affected only in the soul and not in the physicality of the world. That, just like we said before, that the scent is something that affects the soul but not the body. There is another aspect of scent is the effect of scent, of smell, of a perfume is only in an encompassing way and not in a way that's internalized. It makes the externals of the person, it makes them smell nice, but it's not that something is now added to the body. There's new flesh, there's more blood, etc. because of sin. And these two manners, is also in the above mentioned service of the forefathers. It didn't, even the avodah they did with the physical world, except for the mitzvah of milah, did not affect the change in the physicality of the world in such a way that the change should be recognizable even after the service. That was all up to Matan Torah. But after Matan Torah, we said it's the oil itself. It's not just the scent. Mash'enkin, as opposed to avodah shalachar Matan Torah, it's the avodah that was following Matan Torah. It's not only the avodah that is avodah comes as a result of the neshama al shipay elos gamba group. It affects also the body. The way how it affects is that it affects a changing physicality of the world. In such a way that the change is recognizable also after the service. That's what it says, but us. It is an oil that's poured for your sake. Also an oil, there's these two matters. So too, it's in the service of the Eibishter. Through the mitzvahs, we transform the materiality of the physical. First of all, it should be physical, not something that's very coarse. Until it becomes a matter of a mitzvah, an object of a mitzvah, and an object of holiness. And this is the chiddush of Matan Torah over what was taking place up to the Matan Torah. So he says, what's the reason for this? That the avodah of the forefathers was only in the way of a smell of a scent. As opposed to after Matan Torah. It's the oil that's poured for the sake of your name. Because before Matan Torah, there's the well-known decree that those above should not descend below. That means that godliness and spirituality should only be in matters of the soul and not in matters of down here below and the body. And those below should not rise above. This means that even whatever activities the Avos and the Eden did, Torah activities, with matters of things down here below, the body would not affect any change in the body, would not affect any change in those down here below. Matan Torah, the decree ceased. As it says, that Hashem descended in Har Sinai. And it says, to Moshe said, go up to Havai, which is two parts of the equation. That Vayered Hashem al Har Sinai means that the Elyonim should descend below, and Moshe going up, that means Tachtoinim can come from below to above. Days Nifal and Kuloid, Bittul through this becomes effective in the entire world. The nullification of this decree, it comes that the above should descend below. The holiness of above will be able to descend also below in the physicality of the world. Not only in matters of the soul, but and those that are below shall go up above. That means the physical object should change to a supernal object, an object of the above. The object below now becomes rises above. An object of holiness. So now this was all by way of introduction to Purim. We were trying to explain what Purim improved on and solidified concerning Matan Torah. So first we have to explain what Matan Torah brought to the table. So now he's going to explain. So once we explain what Matan Torah brought to the table, so then he's going to explain how Purim brought this further home.
we say it was a decree. Is it a decree that like we cause, or is it a decree like
No.
a negative decree? Like what does it mean a decree?
Just means this is what Hashem decided.
That's how we was like that's what he wanted.
Yes. Gam b'shas Matan Torah, even during Matan Torah, after all of this, lo nifal hashinui legamri begashmis ha'olam, still was not affected the complete change, the physicality of the world. Like we see, Shapulas Matan Torah V'Pashas, the simple effect of Matan Torah, also Pulas Manis, it was a temporary effect. The Nifsikal Le'achrei Hagilu the Matan Torah, and it ceased after the revelation of Matan Torah. Where do we see that it stopped? It is a medrash, like it's brought down the medrash. Be'ez Matan Torah is hakol yitzma ma'il matam kol dal deruchis anoich Hashem lekecha le'yilcha. During Matan Torah, the voice of Hashem came from above and from below and from all four sides. That it says that all four sides and surround sound, the entire world proclaimed anoich Hashem lekecha le'yilcha. Gam Amru, and also the Chazal said, when Hashem gave the Torah, a bird did not tweet, and a bird did not fly, a ox did not low, a fanim loy ofu, and those malachim known as a fanim did not fly, meaning that it became a change in the entire creation, not just in human beings, even in living animals and growing things and even in inanimate things. But this change was only temporary. And afterwards it ceased. Because after this revelation, the part above, like it says, when the shofar stop blowing, they will go up in the mountain. Not only were they permitted to touch the mountain of Sinai, they could even go up on the mountain. Why? Such a holy event took place on Har Sinai. How is it possible for them to go up? Because the holiness left the mountain. What's the reason for it? If the whole idea of Matan Torah was about the change that took place in the world, so why didn't this change take place in the world? Because the change that happened to Har Sinai and the change that happened in the entire world, that everything was quiet, the entire world proclaimed the sounds of Matan Torah, that was something that came from above. And that's not the purpose. The purpose is not that the revelation should be from above. If it comes from above, that's going to stop. Because the service has to be through a person from below to above. Though the giving of the Torah was to transform the physicality of the world to holiness. You do like the well-known expression, to make for him a home down here below. Mamish, a home to his very essence, like a literal home. Then the home, the person finds himself in his entire being. Still in all, the intention of this is that this should be through the service of a person after Matan Torah, that is the service of refining the sparks. The berudim elo hem ba'ofen the ma'at agarshenu. How does one refine the sparks? How does one apply all of this in the world? That's a step-by-step process. That's not all of a sudden from the top. It comes down, but it's bit by bit. Birur inyan achar inyan sheba'olam. Refining one matter, following by another matter in the world, a step-by-step process. So now we can understand what the days of Achashverosh added to Matan Torah. That was the novelty and the advantage of the time of Achashverosh. So then this avodah reached its peak and perfection. The novelty novelty of Matan Torah Shahoy, but Matan Torah Mamayla Mata, that by Matan Torah was from above to below. Nifalas Gamai, the Avodas Admal Mata was affected then also through the service of a person from below. Hine benegel Achashverosh Amr Razal concerning Achashverosh, the Chazal said, Shenikrish my Achashverosh, that his name was called Achashverosh, Shehush Charupneim Shal Yisrael Biyam of Kishula Gedei. That the faces of the Yidden were darkened in his days like the bottom of a pot. In other words, like a pot burns on the bottom, the same thing. That's how bad the Yidden were feeling then. That's the word Achashverosh from the word Shachar, dark, black. Since he was the superpower, the one that reigned from Hoidu till Kush, moving it's understood if he caused darkness for the Eden and he ruled the entire world, so the entire world was a state of ultimate darkness, a great darkness, very much so. Similar to that, a total foolishness. She hate that's the opposite of wisdom of kedusha. Therefore, through the avoid of this time of Achashverosh, of ultimate darkness and the foolishness. It came to the ultimate ascent, like the advantage and the greatness of light that comes out of darkness, but like the greatness of wisdom that comes out of foolishness. The decree of Achashverosh awoke the hearts of the Yidden to their Father in heaven. Like it's explained at length in the introduction to the Sefer Shara Munah of the middle of Rebbe. The goal of all decrees is to awaken the hearts of Yidden. So it was then during the time of Achashverosh. Let's explain in Torah. She comes here, Esther is the main self-sacrifice in the days of Mordechai. And Esther was only for Torah mitzvahs. But that was their main self-sacrifice. Till they stood that entire year with Mesiras Nefesh, that the whole year from when the decree went out in the middle of Pesach until when they defeated their enemies on the 13th of Adar, they were in a state of Mesiras Nefesh, the self-sacrifice. The Shanu, the word Shanu is also from the word change. Who this means to say, throughout all the changes of an entire year, Yidden stood with the most powerful self-sacrifice. All the changes did not affect the faith and the Yiddishkeit of Yidden at that time. Not only that, it did not arise on their minds, even a foreign thought, like the Alter Rebbe says in Torah, they didn't even consider Chas v'Shalom leaving Yiddishkeit to save their lives. That's why Yidden, throughout the entire Megillah Esther, they're called Yehudim. Why are they called Yehudim? Even though not everybody was from Shevet Yehuda, but they were called Yehudim. That says the Chazal say, because anyone that denies Avodah Zarah and admits in the entire Torah, he's called a Yehudi. Yehudi is from the word Moida, accepting and believing. And the entire year the Yidden stood in the state of accepting the entire Torah and denying Avodah Zarah in a way of self-sacrifice. That's the novelty of the days of Purim over Matan Torah. The days of Purim was the acceptance of the Torah in a way of self-sacrifice from the Yidden's approach. In other words, it wasn't something that came from above, but it was something that they brought to the table. That's also what the Gemara says. The original Gemara that we brought, during Matan Torah, the Hashem held a mountain over the head like a barrel. And he told him, if you are accepting the Torah, good. And if not, there will be consequences. So Rabbi Yaakov said, from here there's a great protest. There's an idea in Bezdin that if someone coerces someone else into a business deal because he's scared, he can come to Bezdin and protest it and say, I did this under duress. And then when the appropriate time comes, Bezdin will be able to return the property to the original owner. The same thing, Rabbi Yaakov said that this idea that the Medrash says that Hashem held a mountain over their head and forced them to accept the Torah, that means that the Yidden have like this law of Maidah, this law where they could say it goes back. It's not incumbent, it's not binding because we were coerced into accepting the Torah. So then the Gemara goes on, Rava said, Afal became still and all, despite the fact that during Matan Torah, they were coerced into accepting the Torah. Then they accepted it afterwards in the days of Achashverosh of their own free will. Keymo, וקבלו היהודים. Keymo וקבלו כבר. On this whole lengthy introduction, that's where the Gemara at the beginning of our Maimer says that Keymo וקבלו היהודים means that they fulfilled what they accepted previously. So the Rebbe explains, what is this whole story? The Yidden were coerced and then they accepted it. What's this all talking about? It's all what we said before about, did the Torah come from above, so it like coerced us, or is it something that we brought to the table? The explanation of this matter is the B'shas Matan Torah during Matan Torah, it came down from above in such a manner that the person down here below did not become transformed. It was only then the way of being coerced and being forced from above. Because of the whole big tumult, there was a big tumult, there was all the noise and all the whole world was stopping. How can they not accept the Torah? Enkim is Mana Purim, as opposed to the time of Purim in the Oz Keymo, וקבלו היהודים עליהם ועל זרעם גומר, then the Yidden fulfilled and accepted upon them and on their children. Hainu shekiblu ma'atzmam, that means they accepted it on their own, milmata, from below. What they began to do during the giving of the Torah. They should call Bnei Yisrael through the fact that all Yid, all the Jews in the world, the entire year, they were in a state of self-sacrifice. Nothing touched them, even in their thought, like we said before from the Alter Rebbe, that they didn't even consider in their thought anything contrary to Yiddishkeit. Did not arise in their thought a foreign thought. And how much more so they didn't consider to do an action or speak something against Hashem. Through that, they first affected the nullification of the decree, and they caused the ultimate making a home down here below, that it came from us, not just from above. In the continuation of the Megillah, it says, that these days of Purim will not pass from amongst the Yidden, and their memory will not cease from their children. Chazal say, even though all other matters, like other Yom Tovim, it says, or other Sfarim of Tanakh, could cease, that these days the Purim will not pass. This is understood. The Indians are the key. That this idea of the fulfillment, what they began to do during Matan Torah, and with the full power, was drawn down also forever and ever. And revealed and with joy and with light. So it should be for us very soon. Just like in the days of Purim, for Yidden was light and joy and happiness and glory. Like the literal meaning of the pasuk, being called Perushin Shebezeh. There's all different types of commentaries and explaining what are these four different expressions referring to. Al derech ze yeh b'karav mamish, so too it'll be speedily. Mismach ul legula, we put one good redemption close to another redemption, meaning the redemption of Purim, which goes straight into the redemption of Mashiach. Oyru zu Torah, Oyra, the Chazal say goes on Torah. And what does it have to do with the redemption? We're talking about limud Torah, Mapiv Shel Mashiach, the learning of Torah from the mouth of Mashiach, Mapiv Shel Kadosh Baruch Hu, from Hashem's mouth. Which of course of Torah Chadasha Miti Teitze. It says that a new Torah will come out from it. And in the final of the four expressions of Oyra V'Simcha Sas Mikar, it says the Chazal say Mikar Elut Film. The Huksha called Torah Kula Film. The entire Torah was compared to film. Hainu Kol HaMitzvos Shel Torah is referring to all the mitzvahs of the Torah. We will have the La'aseh Shleimus B'Kiyum HaMitzvos, in the future will be the perfection of the fulfillment of all the mitzvahs. K'maimer, like the Chazal say, V'sham Nas L'Fanecha K'mis Tzernecha, that over there we will do before you like the commands of your will, B'tachs HaShleimus, in the ultimate way, meaning that only when Mashiach comes will we really fulfill the mitzvahs in the most perfect manner. Because when Mashiach comes, there will be perfection of human beings. Will be Ikar B'Yisrael, primarily by Yidden. That it says concerning the Yidden, Adam, you are Adam, Adam Krim Adam. You are called by the title Adam, Al Shem Adam Elohim, because of Adam means likened to above. That brings perfection also into the category of living animals, that we bring it for a carbon and a mitzvah. And the category of growing things, and the category of inanimate things. So all things with which we perform the mitzvahs will be perfect. So therefore the mitzvah will be perfect. Remain mamish speedily nowadays. Mamish the kiyum hayud, and the fulfillment of the promise. That the glory of Hashem will be revealed in all flesh. We'll see together immediately.
Amen.
Yes, Amen. Beautiful, beautiful.